An all-new generation for the VW Microbus, or bully as we say in Germany. That stands in Germany for like this small bus, and especially here from VW, not the evil school bully. So this one is the VW T7 as Transporter and Caravelle. Caravelle, the passenger transport, as we see it right here. And you might ask yourself, wait a minute, isn't the T7 already out? Yes and no. So just to give you like a small introduction, because it's really needed. This one here is the new one on the commercial vehicle platform. It's a cooperation with Ford, and we'll also get you a tour of how different is it from the Ford Transit. And then there are the passenger platform vehicles, the VW Multivan, which is not officially called T7, just VW Multivan. That one really focused on passenger comfort from suspension, also higher speed on the motorway and so on for the family. And then there's the all-electric passenger vehicle, the ID Bus, also then focused on long range, bigger battery, also more passenger comfort. You can, maneuver better and so on. And this one in here on the commercial vehicle platform is wider from the inside, is higher from the inside, higher payload, more towing. So more focused on, for example, people transport if you own a hotel or something, or you do airport transport, or for example, you want something for the family, but need it higher and wider for the holidays and so on. And you say, this is more important than a more sophisticated suspension for you. Or of course, the Transporter, when you have just more space in the rear, if you have like some craftsmanship work or something like that. And we'll give you an extensive tour with Thomas and Autogefuehl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the new T7. And in the front you see it's a little bit Ford Transit, but VW Commercial Vehicles says that they even have changed all the outside parts. So it's more what's on the inside, like from the engine and chassis and so on, which is similar to the Ford Transit. Optionally, you can also get the IQ Light. These are the Matrix LED. We also have them right here. And in a beautiful blue color here today. This one, a true Thomas blue color, definitely. You have this short overhang. We'll also take a look under the hood soon and also tell you all about the different engine versions, because this one here available as all electric, as diesel and also as petrol plug-in hybrid. Very interesting. Wheels, 16-inch steel, then you can 16-inch aluminum or 17-inch aluminum. 19 would even be possible in the so-called Panamericana version, where you have like some off-road look as well, but these here 17-inch aluminum. Two different lengths or wheelbases. This one here is 5 meters 45 or 215 inches with the long wheelbase. And then minus 40 centimeters or minus 16 inches is the 5 meters and 5 meter version, or 199 inches. Yeah, that's the correct figure. That would be the short wheelbase version. And the increase in length is really all wheelbase. So the overhang is the same. It's really about how long is the wheelbase. This here, as I said, longer wheelbase, and then you can house more passengers. This one can house up to 9 passengers on the inside. Well, 9 people, including the driver, so to be correct. The EV version, only 8, because then they say, we don't have one seat in the middle, then the additional one in the front, because you have to calculate with 75 kilograms per person. And then again, you get a problem with a payload. So the payload is 1 ton or 1.3 ton. I can already tell you so far. Yeah, and this is the rear here with a nice LED backlight here. So it has some styling, although it is a Transporter. This has also been a scheme. So, and yeah, it is different from design from the Multivan. You can already see on the outside actually that you will have more width, like, this wider on each side. So this will be a massive difference, and also the height, because I know it for example from my brother. He's driving T7 Multivan at the moment, again, which is not officially called T7 anymore, for the family, 3 young kids and so on. And then he's wondering, should I maybe moved over to the ID Bus? But then again, the height is not that good, when you handle the kids on the inside. Or should he maybe go for this to have more space for the kids? Then again, suspension-wise, this one gets a torsion beam at the rear axle. The Multivan has that as well, but it's actually not optimized for really heavy loads. And that's why the Multivan will be more comfortable from suspension. And the ID Bus, by the way, has a multi-link in the rear. So this is also then important for the comfort and for the driving. But of course, we'll also take a spin with this one here today. Interesting, by the way, also, talking about the roof, sliding doors, of course, you can get for both sides. This one here, the manual one, but what's interesting here, when I close it, here, it's not electric, but then it automatically slides backward, and then it's like this closing help, almost like a soft close. So although it's not really fully electric, it almost closes by itself. And talking about the roof, when I get up here, you can see there are certain anchor points here on the top. And the roof load is, when you drive this vehicle, up to 170 kilogram, but static as it stands here right now, you can put half a ton, 500 kilogram on it. That might be interesting, for example, if you put like a sleeping tent on the top, and you can sleep on the top of the vehicle with the whole family. Or also if you think about like maybe like police, firefighters and so on, if they want something stationary on the roof. We also have some details on the interior which I can show to you, which are really for this professional use. So everything is to follow. You have to think about, this is less focused than on like family comfort, but really more on space and professional use. And turning indicators here in the front, replace the daytime running light. That looks pretty cool. Well, but in the rear, it's really, really tiny, right? So small indicator, hard to see. Now to the interior, and we start here at the side, because it's like the most important thing about this vehicle. First of all, here the individual seats in the second row. So you can pull this one down. Then this one can also be for the entry to the third row, but you can also have this upward like this, and then slide this, and then it's still possible. You know, you can choose that basically. And these are the straps to completely pull the seats out. I can soon show that to you as well, better from the rear. But indeed, all the seats can be taken out. The only thing, because that's also relevant to my brother, so in their multi-van, they have like the single seat, and they can turn it around, so you can better interact with the kids on a long holiday drive and so on. But here you can take them out, but you see here there's no rail, and you cannot put the seat in like backward position, for example. You cannot slide it forward or backward. You can just take it out or not. That's the thing. So here now 3 individual seats, and the 5-seater would also be the standard configuration. If you have a combustion engine model, there could also be an additional seat here in the middle, so like in the front, that you have like this. It's like maybe like in some businesses, they drive with 3 people in the front and then just all of cargo in the rear. But here you sit very upright. It's actually decently comfortable. A lot of space here for your knees to the front seats, and also a lot of headroom. That's the thing, because it's a high and wide vehicle, and you just feel the width here on the inside. There's a small window here you can open like slightly, that's possible. I would just watch out for the kids that they maybe don't hurt their fingers. And then here is also a sunshade. That's also cool, easy solution. And you also have a separate climate unit here for the rear. And you can control that like this. So that's an easy solution, also warmer and colder and so on. And then you also have 2 USB-C chargers down there at the back part of the driver's seat. And yeah, all the individual seats here are kind of similar. Here, seatbelt from the outside. This one here is integrated. Yeah, but I can also very well sit here on the middle part. A cool setup would also be if you take this middle seat out, and then, for example, the kids can go through here to the middle directly to the rear bench. That would also be possible. And then let's check out the rear bench. Here, by the way, 2 more USB-C chargers here at the inside of the doors as well. And then we fold this up. And maybe it's easier when I put this one down first, because I also want to show you how we take out the seat completely. So here, to get to the rear, do it like this. There we go. And first of all, I can also put this one down. You can see me better. So here in the 3rd seating row, I can still sit here. Remember, this is here the long wheelbase version. So there you can see that you can really easily house 8 or 9 tall adults here in this vehicle, and also from the headroom, because it's not falling down. In the ID bus, it's falling a little bit down with the roof because of the CD value, but here it's actually no problem. So this is the thing about this vehicle. You have massive amounts of space, either for people or for luggage. And I mean, here, even if you have 9 people here, then you still have a lot of luggage capacity there in the rear. We will soon take a look at the trunk. So that's really the thing about this one here. If you compare multivan and the ID bus, this one has so much more space on the inside. And this is also where, when the other ones were presented, some were actually disappointed they don't offer more space. Or for example, when you have everything full of people, there's hardly any space for luggage. But here it's really both. A lot of people plus a lot of luggage. That's the special thing about this one here. And then again, yeah, as I already said, some disadvantages you also, that also come then with this platform. So it's all, again, pro and con. Isofix here, by the way, on the outside for these seats, and for these here, you can see outside as well. The middle one, no, the middle one not. So you have here then 1, 2, 3, 4 seats with Isofix, and here also top tether. That's also possible. So and now to take out the seat completely, I think the easiest solution is so put it back here. So then I pull these 2 straps together. There we go, and then I can take out the whole seat here from the anchors, It's of course really heavy as well, not as heavy as the rear bench there. So let me just try that, not to damage my back, something like that. Yeah. So here you can see, I can carry that one out alone myself. That would be possible, yes. And then you see here, it easily also comes back into place. Take a look at the loading area here. Wide hatch, there we go, and you can also stand underneath it. So 1.89 meters, 6'2". You see here how high this vehicle is actually. You also have
and here
some light here, and then you can also adjust it then from the from the inside. Also, when you have it closed, for example, it's also possible.
Very important.
So it's like a button here to open, close the light. The width here, this is also enormous. It's like 1.35 meters or 53 inches in width, and there you can see also the difference then to the passenger-based, like a multivan or the ID bus. This one here is just wider, way wider. This is a massive difference. And then the normal length here in the trunk behind this bench, yeah, is about 1 meter or 40 inches, a little bit longer, like 1.5 meters or 41 inches. And once again, also massive difference here, the height. You can see here, this is like 120 or 47 inches, and it's even more. So when I put it here now, yeah, so here we are at 1.27 meters or 50 inches. So this is also higher, so the interior height also higher than in the multivan or in the ID bus. This is like what makes it so attractive also for the commercial use, like, if you do some craftsmanship and so on. And of course, yeah, whatever you want to load in. Here for the EV version, you would just have the cable here. This like can be secured there. So this is like one possibility. See here, all the luggage is lost somewhat in there. And here for this rear bench, you can fold it down like this. You can also load things through, and you can also, because it's here the passenger version, as we have shown to you, you can also take out this whole bench. There, you have to release here down there. You pull these here on both sides, and then you can take out the whole bench. It's heavy. I can't do it alone. Yeah, you would need like 2 really strong, at least 2 or maybe 3 strong guys to put this one then out, but it's possible. Or women, of course. There are also strong women out there, of course. Yeah, but it's possible, so you can also clean up this whole area. And the total payload is 1 ton here for the EV version and 1.3 ton overall the maximum. And this is also way higher than, once again, than with the passenger versions. And towing is also very important. 2.3 ton for the EV and up to 2.8 ton if you go for like a strong diesel, for example. So this is also, once again, more than the predecessor and also more than the passenger versions. And you have here this retractable towing hook. You press it twice as a fail-safe, and then yeah, you have this automatic mechanism. Yeah, just because it's funny, let me put it back again. It's also, especially here, like with this Ford-based towing hook, we know it from the Ford Kuga recently. It sounds really funny, really loud, but it's good that because it's fully automatic indeed. This is the key fob. We now get to the interior. This is the Ford key fob with the VW logo. And then door closing sound. Why not? Testing also here, but yeah, sounds more basic, honestly. Where you just put the fuel for the diesel and so on, this they made it just closed for the EV version here. The door doesn't open too wide though, I gotta say that, but a lot of storage here, also there, really wide. Interesting is that the top part is even softened up a little bit. That's good for the elbow while driving. Controls in here for the side mirrors. We also have here like this additional blind spot control on the lower part. And what you can also see here, that you have a lot of storage space here, like for cup holders in the front, more storage here and so on. That's also very important. The whole car is animal free. So even the steering wheel is a high grade leatherette and it feels really nicely. So that's good. And either fabric seats as a base or these leatherette seats if you want more like a cleaning solution that's easy to wipe and so on. So both is actually possible, and you can see here you also have a lot of adjustment for the seat. You climb in, and there we go. Here, for example, for the this is like the actually for the back part here of the seat, for the lower part. So you can also release it a little bit more, or make it firmer. And here, this one, you have to pump the seats up, pump it up, or go a little bit lower. Welcome to this cockpit. First of all, here the passenger seat can be like way forward and backward. The only thing is when it's all the way backward, then you have like this really large hole here where you can, well, things can get lost. At least you can also access it quite well then again like this. And you can also have this bench here in the front, would also be possible with then 3 seats in the front overall, and really soft here for your elbow. You can get these here. It's also adjustable in the height. This is really, really soft, so like a soft leatherette. And then also very plush underneath. That's cool. The seats are rather a little bit firmer, but it's okay. And then also here this leatherette, and it's a really rugged material in the way of that you can wipe it clean easy. It's also good for the commercial vehicle use. And then you have this modern cockpit here with digital instruments and also this infotainment system, which has this, rather integrated way. Start and stop button is here. Still a manual volume jog. For the climate unit, for the temperature, you have it in here. You can use it as a sliding function or plus and minus, so that is both possible. And here you have some hotkeys. You press it, but it says like it's one button, then capacitive control, like where you actually access it. And then you have, for example, the driving modes you can set. Interesting is that, by the way, here this small storage space, when you lift this one up, these are special mounts. Also, for example, for a use that you can install like a laptop holder here. Maybe, for example, also for police use that you can check like vehicle registration numbers and so on. Or maybe if you do delivery, maybe you want to have this mount here to put something on there, or that you can check your deliveries, maybe with an iPad mounting or something like that. So these possibilities all exist. And when I'm sitting here with 1m89, 602, still some headroom left, so it's no problem. Really generous space offering. On the passenger side, there's also a light for the mirror, and I can put this one here sideways, and it covers all the way, so it doesn't need to be extended because it's already really, really long. And you've probably already seen they have this VW steering wheel installed here, and it can also be put down, up, in and out, so really wide way. And this is here the switch gear, so drive, reverse, P. This is a very easy solution, and B then in this EV case for more recuperation. So actually most of that is straightforward, and it's also a decently comfortable seating position, upright and so on. I would say, especially in the new ID Bus seats, I would sit like a little bit more better, a little bit more comfortable, but they're definitely doing a good job so far, especially with this plush armrest here. It's not the same case for the left side, although it's not entirely hard here on the left side, so that's also something they did consider actually. And Leah now shows us the passenger side and also some details of the storage and so on. So, for example, you have this dual glove box, so the lower one, not dampened, but you have a top one there, and it goes pretty deep in there indeed. And you also have 2 USB-C chargers here on the right side. By the way, some details like the inside handle here on the passenger side, like this, or also in the, there's another one in the front, or also here this top cubby hole there for sunglasses. You can even pull it out. So small, small details like these are sometimes separate in the configurator for like 10 or 15 euros. And I think, are you serious, guys? Yeah, can't understand that. Then in the middle console, you can slide this one open. There we go. And it's also, is it adaptive?
Yes.
Yeah, also somewhat adaptive.
Holds it.
There we go.
Model tight, yep.
Holds it also tight. Then you have more USB-C and USB-A charger underneath, 12-volt power supply, and very low bottom there's inductive charging pad, and it's also ventilated actually. And what about the sunshade? There, the visor. This one's actually fixed on the passenger side.
That's weird,
yeah. That's well, it's really wide, but would be cool that we could also put it to the side, but it's not possible actually. Digital instruments. There you clearly have a VW design. There we go, and can also switch through different functions. And here I either have a classic rear mirror or can also switch here to this camera view. And the main infotainment, well, could be a little bit quicker, could be maybe a little bit more modern, but does the job mainly. Extensive climate functions here, as I said, here for the climate control. There we go. And there's on off. But sometimes I feel like, okay, so where do I get to the main menu again? And then, yeah, you can swipe it, for example. This is then the main view, and you can also go to Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Like this, you can also have this full screen or alternatively this half screen format then here. And you wouldn't believe it, Harman Kardon sound system here. Decent stuff, I mean, for this vehicle here, good sound indeed, wow. And here, as a comparison, the pure Transporter version, and this one is also the one with short wheelbase and lower equipment. For example, here the headlamps, these are the base headlamps, so this is not the IQ Light, no matrix. Then you see it looks a little bit more simple actually. Here also at the side, the 16-inch wheels, but with aluminum, so a little bit smaller. And then you can see here way shorter here, 40 centimeters or 16 inches shorter, the one with a short wheelbase. But both Caravelle and Transporter available with long or the short wheelbase. And speaking of the Transporter, you can of course also get the sliding door, 1 or 2, and this is then the pure open version. You can already hear that here. We have here also this real wall to the front cabin to protect you actually, because when you have heavy stuff in here, you know that it doesn't fly into your face. Here you can also get this rugged floor, for example, for this use, and there you can see also like the dimensions of this vehicle. Once again here, the width, let's check it out. This is even more enormous. So this is 1 meter 60 actually in the width here. That's amazing. That's 63 inches. Wow. And the length here, so this is like 2 meters and 60. So it's over 100 inches in length then. Again, longer when you have the long wheelbase version. And here the height here inside, this is then 1 meter and 40 or 55 inches. So that's really impressive. So already the short wheelbase version here of the Transporter, very, very well usable. And in the front here, the version with the dual bench on the right side. That's of course cool then, for your company and so on. And these are the fabric seats. They look pretty nice here with the black outside and a little bit more brighter fabric on the inside. Here again, the wall in between. Let's just test the seating comfort. Of course, once again, also the fabric seats for the Caravelle or for the commercial, like the Transport version here. Actually, I think the fabric seats are even a little bit more comfortable. So yeah, these are probably a little bit more comfortable and more breathable in summertime. Yet again, the leatherette seats are better, when you have maybe construction site use, that you can wipe them clean easier. And sitting here in the middle part also works as a tall adult. I mean, yeah, it's maybe not super comfortable, but it's enough from the leg room and so on. Here in the front, by the way, is a cup holder. It's a different solution than the other vehicle we had there. Also nice. And on the outside, so this fits as well. And then what's the funny thing here? You can lift this one up and then have a storage underneath, for example, in this case here for the charging cable. So that's a nice idea, isn't it? And something else here, you can pull down this one to maybe for notes or whatever. Now about engines. So pulling that twice, and then we can open this one. And as I said, different possibilities you have. So here you can put that up. So this one here is the electric version indeed. No frunk then for this one, and different horsepower outputs are available. 286 horsepower is the maximum output. We have the strongest version here for you. And then you have 7.4 seconds in the acceleration figure. Funny thing is that for 50 euros you can order a limitation of the acceleration. That, for example, when maybe like the young trainees in your company shouldn't push it too much when also all the tools are in the back on something. Yeah, but then again, this has to be done from works. Later on you can maybe remove it at the dealer. But I mean, nowadays there are a lot of electric vehicles where you can just limit it with your app. Nowadays you can say, hey, my kids are only supposed to drive 130 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn or something like that. There's no need to do that at the dealer or at the works, you know. That's a software thing. So really complicated solution for that one, so that you have to decide that beforehand. Yeah, kind of strange. And also the recharging 10 to 80% is 39 minutes. So only 125 kilowatt DC peak, 11 kilowatt AC charging. So all the EV facts are not that good, honestly. Also only a 64 kilowatt hour net battery. There, for example, the ID Bus has just, even in the small battery, small and even more the bigger battery, has just way more battery capacity and range. This one will be in the range if you more have like a city use, 300 kilometers, 200 miles, something like that, realistically. And on motorway, it will even be way less, maybe 200 kilometers, 125 miles. So as for the EV facts, not the ideal thing. This could be a suitable EV solution if you, for example, you own a hotel and you're always getting your guests, for example, like from a bottom station up the hill and down again, you know, that could be a solution. So if you don't have long mileage, if you want, like from this whole family, the best as for range and efficiency, it needs to be the ID Bus, which is smaller than on the inside. So it's a question of what you want. On the combustion engine side, a 2-liter TDI with different horsepower specs. In the strongest version, you have around 14 seconds in the acceleration figure, so not too strong. The diesel will be front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. This one here, the electric, always rear-wheel drive. And the plug-in hybrid, the 2.5-liter plug-in hybrid, which is to come later, this one also, once again, front-wheel drive, 20 kilowatt hours net around is the battery right there. Yeah, so different lineup. In most cases, it will be the Transporter version with the diesel. This will be the most sold version. And the Caravelle probably also then again with the diesel. The plug-in hybrid might also be interesting later on because of the battery size and so on. Sport mode. Woo! That was 0 to 60 kilometers an hour here with the strongest EV version. And yeah, as I said, you can also get this limitation, but I don't know if that would make sense for you. So I press here and then I can switch through the driving modes, but I have to confirm that then here in the screen. Here once again the normal driving mode, for example, and talked about the differences, multi-van and also the ID Bus throughout the review. And the first thing you do notice is that here you still have a commercial vehicle driving feeling. So in the ID Bus or in the multi-van, they more or less feel like you would be driving a passenger car. Here, just from like how wide it is, how tall it is, also from the acoustics and so on, you immediately know, okay, you're driving like a bus, a truck, you know what I mean? So this is a different driving feeling. And you also hear, especially like from the insulation of the windows, we're not driving very quick, you know, but here, for example, when cars are overtaking us and so on, you hear that it's a little bit louder. Let's see if we can drive a little bit quicker later on. But here now at like city speeds, 60 kilometers an hour, so like 20, 25, 30 miles an hour, hear that the cars are passing. So that would be more silent already in the multi-van or in the ID Bus. But it doesn't mean that it's hard to maneuver this vehicle. It is relatively easy to drive. You have this split mirror there at the side. That's actually easy to look at and you get all the angles. The steering is kind of light, but it's not that it would be without feeling completely. So you can have fine controls over each degree angle and so on. That's absolutely fine. And I have to say also when maneuvering the car around, and about comfort and suspension, so next to the NVH stuff, suspension is, I would say, rather on a softer tone. And that's in a way surprising because it can carry heavier weight and so on. So, but it's, that was a Ford Transit. So you feel it also in the waves, it's moving and so on. It's evening it out very well. So considering this can also carry really heavy load, I feel the suspension is kind of comfortable. Another interesting point that Leah just mentioned was also that, like from the noise, like what comes from the ground, from the asphalt. So like the dampening to the asphalt underneath us. This is also more sophisticated in these passenger-based cars, and yeah, a little bit noisier than here in this vehicle here. But I mean, from suspension, from driving, I think it's actually quite fun. And you can also enjoy a longer trip with this one here because, I mean, you sit upright, suspension is evening out the bumps very well. So I'm actually quite happy with that. It's just that some of the NVH is worse than with the passenger platform, but that's of course no wonder so far. EV specific, by the way, so either when you lift your foot off the throttle or the accelerator pedal, maybe just like a slight recuperation, you can see it also here in the instruments, but I can also press it here on the right stall column, press on B, and then we have strong recuperation. So there big deceleration, and you can then do the most thing like just with one pedal. So you can choose that, and it's also really easy to do that just with one press of this hard button at the right stall column. By the way, here the turning indicator sound. Ah, come on. So I mean, it's a very modern vehicle in many respects, but the turning indicator sounds like, I don't know, like this is a real relay, I don't know, from 50 years ago or something like that. Yeah, very interesting. What I want to show you here, some more bumpy roads and see how it reacts there. Got the 17-inch aluminum on there, plus I said the suspension is rather soft, but even when it gets getting bumpy, it's doing that actually quite well. So maybe even the passenger-based cars are rougher in that respect from the suspension. Also, for example, here, when I'm maybe on the left side, driving here, a little bit soft off-roadish, it's very comfortable when you have the uneven grounds. That is something really remarkable, gotta say that. Of course, there you can also vary a little bit with the wheel choice and so on. And now we do some soft off-roading. It's also like a bump inside the road. Yeah, that's actually fairly comfortable. That's nice. Here you can see, like, you know, how it shakes a little bit. Now really bumpy, but definitely fine, yeah. Good comfort in that respect. That's actually cool. And since we have like a freeway here as well, a little bit sandy here to the side, I also want to show you something here. How you can turn in the wheels in the front is amazing actually, and you can almost turn here on standstill. Look at that here, then all the way around. I don't want to get to the deep sand, but here, I mean, I'm almost turning the car completely around on standstill, although it's like 5.5 meters long, or like 215 inches it was. That's astonishing, you know. Of course, here with the EV, I have the rear-wheel drive. Yeah, and then the front wheels can turn freely. The question is, of course, how it will be different than with the other versions. And talking about assistance systems, you can see it here on the steering wheel. Of course, it's rather meant for like Autobahn use and so on, but I think it's always a good test here to see when it's a little bit slower speed and also corners and so on, how does the steering react. And you know, since the car in front of me is also being checked, this here, the elaborate assistance systems pack, it's not standard, so I have to go for that one optionally. But so far, it's also keeping me very well in the lane. Let's see, ahead of us is like another corner then to the left. One thing that is missing, I feel, which is present in the Fords, by the way, for example, see, I have to hold the steering tighter a little bit. Now it's to the left. Let's see here. I was issuing like a small warning saying like, it doesn't want that. So here, see, that was too much, that corner for the assistance systems. But normally, you know, when you're on the motorway and so on, this is where it's working a little bit better. However, you can see that from the VW house, there's a more sophisticated assistance system that could also cope with that. So here, see, this is then also from the Ford Works. What is, however, better with, for example, recently in the Ford Kuga, there you can just press and hold the set button to cancel this speed limiter chime. And this doesn't work here. And you have to go deep in the menu then. I haven't found any like quick hotkey to that yet. If you know more, I couldn't find anything out. So that is something that is easier to deactivate here. Deactivating that while driving, this chime when you exceed 1 kilometer an hour, it's like a thing now in all EU and UK countries. Yeah, it's just annoying, and here there's no real way to deactivate it actually. You know, in some more cornery situations, the car is handling it very well. Question is also, is Leah getting sick?
I'm fine.
She's fine, she's fine, because that's also, you know, like when you are in this large vehicle, maybe with the suspension, but as long as Leah is fine and on the co-driver seat, then it's really good actually. So it's a likable driving feeling actually. The only thing that we just mentioned earlier, when you have a rough surface, yeah, Leah's right. She just mentioned that you sometimes feel the vibration actually from the ground. That is indeed something that is coming more to the cabin than if you would have the Multivan or the ID bus. And so there's a cargo version, Caravelle in blue here, other vehicles on the road. But overall, I think the best thing to me is that it's really relaxed, especially from suspension and also evening out these bumps and so on. That's the cool thing. And of course, the downside is that you have like less NVH and so on. So actually, I don't feel much negative sides from suspension, that it's set out on higher payload and so on. So that's actually a pretty good thing. And also here, when we are going through more corners and stuff, that's actually pretty cool. You can also just see it now allowed to drive a little bit faster, you know, and this is actually fun. So, and also the seats are holding us quite well, not sliding on them too much. And now when we also drive a little bit quicker, it's not too much wind noise from the front window or something like that. And you also have this nice panoramic view to the front. So this is also a traveling thing, maybe not necessarily long haul with the EV version here. But if you think about, you maybe use it for leisure and also semi-camping purpose or something like that, it's also nice that you have a good traveling feeling here. Diesel sport mode. There we go. That was like 25 to 60, and I mean, takes time to get going, then the turbo sets in. It's the 170 horsepower version. This one here would be 14 seconds actually, 0 to 100. So you see that, especially after a while, you know, needs some time to get going. Actually, the electric one, of course, way more powerful, but gotta say, it's very well insulated. So jumping from the EV version to the diesel, you don't hear the diesel too much. Also, we hear that red traffic light when we're stationary, then we can do one more acceleration. It's very interesting. Still in the sport mode, and yeah, you here feel some vibrations, but actually not too much. So very well insulated, that you don't have like the biggest difference between diesel and the EV. Now the screen. There we go. Actually, quicker than expected. And yeah, our luggage in the back there was flying now all over the place. But it's also not too loud here in the pure Transporter version, because we have the wall here behind us. Leah is here now also on the middle seat, by the way. This is a fun driving experience when you're here with three adults in the front. Yeah, and I would have expected a bigger difference between the EV and the diesel version, but again, as I said, well-insulated engine, and also that wall here to the transport box. This makes it not really much louder. So in a way, because we have the wall there, we also heard a little bit more in the Caravelle from, you know, just like the acoustic feedback we get and so on. And another difference is here, that's why I also want to show that to you. We've been driving the long wheelbase in the Caravelle, and this is now here the short wheelbase. And driving straight, you don't feel too much difference. Honestly, it's more a thing of like when you maneuver at, you know, around town and so on. But it's more a question of what you're actually used to. The one danger is, of course, when you're not used to long wheelbase vehicles, and then you make a turn and you take it too tight, then you catch something with the rear of the vehicle. That's maybe the thing with the long wheelbase. Yeah, but other than that, they come very, very close in driving. You can also go back here to the normal mode once again. The sport mode will usually be probably not used that much, so you can also stay in the normal mode. The steering feedback, by the way, let's just test it here when in normal mode and go back to the sport mode. Yeah, from the steering, it doesn't change much, a little bit, maybe, yeah, but not too much difference from the steering feel. It's more about the throttle input, and in the sport mode, the throttle is just a little bit more responsive actually. What you do feel, see with the shorter wheelbase, it feels a little bit less truck-alike in a way, although this one is the cargo version, because it's just easier to maneuver around. But again, this will only play an effect when you really are in tight corners, or maybe thinking of city delivery. That might be a reason to go for the short wheelbase if you need to take some deliveries in inner city and so on. And this happens quite a lot, of course, nowadays, especially like with even more parcel delivery and so on. But then again, they often need the bigger trucks. There's always the question of the individual use case. You can also make here a lane change here, 60 kilometers an hour. Very good. Also, you can see here fine angles of the steering movement. There's no dead zone area in a way. It's also cool that you have control over the vehicle in that case. And I also have these dual mirrors. They're really helpful because then they reduce the blind spot. You can use them, of course, while driving here, but you can also use them when you're in the city, that you don't catch anything what is at the side of the road or something like that. Yeah, just again these turning indicators, where you think like, okay, this is like an old real relay from like 50 years ago or something like that. And one more remark to the fabric seats we're driving at the moment, and indeed I found them maybe a little bit more comfortable and also more breathable when it's really hot. And then of course the leatherette, you can wipe it easier, clean it easier, especially if there's trucks inside use, or the kids spill some stuff on it and so on. So yeah, it's always pro and con, definitely. And the fuel economy for the diesel here, short trip, maybe have to extend it with an Autobahn driving part at a later stage, but here so far 7 liters on 100 kilometers, that's 34 mpg US, 41 mpg UK. Pricing and which car is for which use case, it really depends. As I also said initially, the multi-van is more like the more comfortable family transport. This one here as the Caravelle, if you want more space in width, in height, and regularly transport even more people, plus luggage, for example. And then as for the electric version, yeah, the ID bus just has so much more range, it's so much more efficient. And yeah, here you have more space, but you only have this limited range use, so to speak, because all the EV facts definitely clearly speak for the ID bus. So I think as the electric version, this one here does not make too much sense unless you have this very specific use case. Then of course the big difference is that the pure Transporter just has a lot of space on the interior. This will be the most frequent use. And of course this one here also the Caravelle as the diesel version if you have maybe like a long haul passenger transport thing and so on. Or if you say, hey, I just want more space for maybe hobby plus family, because if you have maybe some sports, hobbies and so on, where you need to be flexible with the seats, plus you want, like maybe put bicycle, motorcycles in, maybe something like that. And pricing is super interesting, because I was initially thinking, yeah, that one on the commercial vehicle platform should be less expensive, but it's not the case. So interesting is that no matter if you go for the ID bus, here for the T7 Caravelle, or also for the multi-van, you always pay between 50 and 80,000 euros if you take the German prices, like from low spec to high spec. But if I spec, for example, this EV, like it stands here, it's about 82,000 euros, and a comparable multi-van would be maybe like 80,000 or maybe 75,000 euros. So a couple of thousand euros less expensive. And also a comparable ID bus would be maybe like 2,000-3,000 euros less expensive, but has almost 20 kilowatt hours more of battery capacity. So price-wise, I think it is kind of expensive, especially if you compare multi-van and the ID bus internally. The reason for that is, since it's on this commercial vehicle platform, most of the buyers actually pay the net prices, not the gross prices, because I was comparing gross prices. And when you have business customers, you sometimes say like, yeah, I mean, they lease it maybe anyway and so on, and they pay net price anyway, and it's not their private expensive, so we can also raise the prices a little bit as for that. So, but very interesting to have this insight. The question is, which one would you go for? Here, the Caravelle or the Transporter or the multi-van or the ID bus. You can, of course, compare these reviews right now.